Let me tell you a story. How an orphan girl was able to save a nation. Listen closely. A crown once rested on the head of a girl marked for death. Her name never appeared on any list of heroes. Her people lived one decree away from slaughter. Power moved behind closed doors. One mistake meant blood. This story does not begin with royalty. This story begins with fear. She entered life without safety.
Long ago, after the Jews were forced from their homeland, many lived far away from Israel. One group stayed in a great city called Susa, the capital of the Persian Empire. This empire spread across many lands and was ruled by a powerful king named Ahasuerus, often thought to be Xerxes I, who controlled 127 provinces from India to Nubia. In this foreign land, Jews had to live carefully, stay hidden, and try to keep their traditions alive. She was born a Jewish girl named Hadassah, a name that means myrtle in Hebrew. She was born among the Jews scattered across the Persian Empire. Home existed only in memory. Songs about Jerusalem sounded distant and painful. Before she could even grow, death came and claimed both parents from her life. No farewell, no record, only absence. An orphan had little value in Persia. Hunger is the companion of such children. Abuse followed close behind. She survived only because one man refused to abandon her. Her older cousin Mordecai, who belonged to the tribe of Benjamin, took her in and raised her as his own daughter. Mordecai works as a guard in King Ahasuerus' palace. He loved her as his own, taught caution before courage. He taught restraint before speech. He taught loyalty to his God even while living under foreign rule. And she grew into a beautiful young woman. She was kind, obedient to Mordecai, and humble. Years passed. Persia thrived on power and pride. King Ahasuerus ruled from Susa. The palace gleamed with gold and marble. Servants moved like shadows. Politics decided life or death during banquets soaked in wine. In the palace of King Ahasuerus lived the beautiful queen named Vashti. During one feast, the king summoned Queen Vashti to appear before drunken nobles so they could admire her beauty. Vashti found this belittling and she refused. This angered the king and all the nobles present. Her refusal echoed across the empire. Advisors panicked. They feared rebellion. They feared women would learn to say no. The king's advisors said she must go. Her refusal would make other women think they could defy their husbands. As a result, Vashti lost her crown and was removed as queen. The king then decided to find a new queen. He ordered that every young beautiful woman from all over the empire be brought to his palace to be prepared for the king's selection. They would be treated and groomed for many months before they could meet him. Hadassah was taken to the palace like the other young women. Mordecai gave her one important instruction: don't tell anyone you are Jewish. He knew things would be harder for her if people knew where she came from, and she obeyed. She changed her name to Esther, a Persian name meaning star or hidden. Inside the palace, fear wore perfume. The women waited through months of grooming and lessons. 1 year passed in slow dread. Each night carried different rumors. Some women never returned from the king's chamber. Others lived forgotten lives inside guarded walls. Esther stood apart using her fear as anchor. She listened. She watched. She spoke little. Every woman spent time with the chief eunuch Haggai in charge of the harem. She trusted the eunuch's guidance. The official in charge noticed her spirit. No arrogance. No desperation. When Esther faced the king, she asked for nothing extra. No jewels. No advantage. The king saw her and loved her more than all the others. The king chose her. A crown touched Orphan's skin. Esther became queen of Persia while hiding her soul. Every smile concealed danger. Every conversation carried risk. One word could expose her and her people. Outside the palace, Mordecai watched the gates. One night, Mordecai was in the palace courtyard. He overheard 2 of the king's eunuchs Bigthan and Teresh plotting a rebellion and planning to kill the king. Mordecai quickly informed Esther of this plot, and Esther warned the king. The plot failed and this act saved the king's life, and the act was recorded in the royal chronicles. And then the king had a powerful leader under him named Haman the Agagite. Haman rose in power. Honor fed his ego and demanded bows from everyone. Mordecai, a Jew who would bow only to God, refused. Each day, he stared at Haman and refused to acknowledge him. Haman became furious with Mordecai because Mordecai refused to bow down to him. Haman was proud, and it hurt his pride that an ordinary Jew would not show him honor on his own land. Ego bruised. Hatred grew. Haman sought more than revenge. Haman sought erasure. Haman couldn't hide his anger towards Mordecai anymore. He raged to his wife Zeresh. All bow except this Jew Mordecai. He stains my honor. Seeing him at the gate poisons my every triumph. She counseled, why let one man trouble you? If he is the problem, remove the root. Speak to the king about his people. Have them all destroyed. Haman, festering with hatred, went to the king. He painted the Jews as a scattered, disloyal people whose laws differed from the king's. He offered 10,000 silver talents for the right to destroy them, without naming the specific people. Ahasuerus, swayed and manipulated by his vizier, gave his ring to seal the decree. Lots were cast to choose the date. The 13th day of the month of Adar. Town criers raced to every province with the decree for a state-sanctioned genocide. On a chosen day, Jews would die. Children, elders, families, property seized, blood permitted by law. The decree spread across the empire. Fear swept the land. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and wailed loudly outside the palace gate. Esther, confused and alarmed, sent clothes to him. He refused. Through a messenger, Mordecai sent her a copy of the decree with a plea. Do not think that because you are in the palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther's initial fear was paralyzing. To approach the king unsummoned meant death, unless he held out his golden scepter. She faced an impossible choice. She responded to Mordecai's message. Go, gather all the Jews in Susa. Fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maids will do the same. Then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther fasted. 3 days passed without food or water. Strength faded. Resolve hardened. Courage formed through prayer. Esther walked toward the throne room. Every step echoed risk. The king looked up. Guards stiffened. Breath paused. When the king saw her and he liked her, he held out his golden scepter. This was a sign she was safe. With the scepter lifted, breath returned. What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given you. Asked the king. If it pleases the king, she said, her voice clear, let the king and Haman come today to a banquet I have prepared. At the banquet, the king repeated his offer. Esther, strategically biding her time, invited them to a second banquet the next day. Flattered, Haman left in high spirits, only to be infuriated again by the sight of Mordecai. He ordered a gallows built, 75 feet high, on which to hang his enemy. That same night, the king, unable to sleep, had the royal chronicles read aloud. The passage detailing Mordecai's earlier loyalty was read. What honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this? Asked the king. Nothing has been done for him. The servants responded. At that very moment, Haman entered the outer court to seek permission to hang Mordecai. The king summoned him. What should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Said the king. Haman's replied, thinking himself the man. For such a man, let a royal robe be brought, and a horse the king has ridden. Let a noble prince robe the man and lead him on horseback through the city square, proclaiming, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Excellent. Go at once and do exactly that for Mordecai the Jew. Haman, shocked and humiliated, was forced to publicly honor the man he sought to destroy. At the second banquet, the moment of truth arrived. Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be granted. What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, the king asked. Again. Esther, taking a deep breath. If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given as my petition, and my people as my request. For we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. If we had been sold merely as slaves, I would have remained silent, for our affliction would not be worth disturbing the king. King Ahasuerus, enraged, who is he? Where is the man who has dared to do this? And Esther, pointed, a foe and an enemy, this wicked Haman. The king stormed out in fury. Haman, terrified, fell on Esther's couch to beg for mercy. The king, returning and misinterpreting the scene, accused him of assaulting the queen. Haman was taken away and hanged on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. The king gave Esther Haman's estate and Mordecai his signet ring. However, a decree sealed with the king's ring could not be revoked. Instead, Mordecai wrote and sent a new decree, authorizing the Jews in every city to assemble and defend themselves on the appointed day. On the 13th of Adar, the Jews stood firm. They defeated their enemies, and the day of intended mourning became a day of victory and joy. To commemorate this great turnaround, Esther and Mordecai established an annual feast called Purim. It became a perpetual celebration of deliverance, marked by feasting, giving gifts, and reading the scroll of Esther. Mordecai rose to become a great leader in the empire, second only to the king. Esther remained queen, her courage forever talked about in history. Their story did not end there. Tradition holds that Esther and Mordecai were buried in the ancient city of Hamadan, Ecbatana, Iran. A tomb there, revered for centuries by Iranian Jews and Christians, is believed to house their remains. The site, a domed mausoleum, has been a pilgrimage destination for generations. Especially on Purim, where the Book of Esther is read. Though scholars debate its authenticity, for the faithful, it stands as a tangible link to the orphan girl who saved a nation. God's hand shaped every moment. An orphan saved a nation. Fear bowed to courage. Silence broke history open.